In a quiet suburban town, where everyone seemed to know everyone, lived Amara Daniels, a strong and graceful black woman in her mid-30s. She had built her life around love, loyalty, and faith. To anyone looking in from the outside, her marriage to Ethan Daniels seemed perfect. The big house, the cars, the family dinners, and those Sunday morning church smiles. But behind closed doors, something sacred was breaking. Amara had begun to notice small changes. Ethan coming home late, his phone always turned down on the table, the faint smell of perfume that wasn't hers. She ignored it at first, praying it was stress, not betrayal. But deep down, her heart knew the truth long before her mind was ready to face it. Pause. Somber background music builds. One rainy evening, Amara stood by the window, her eyes red from crying. Ethan walked in, not quietly this time, but confidently, like a man who no longer feared losing what he once loved. "Ethan," she said softly, "I cooked your favorite. We haven't had dinner together in days." He sighed, tossing his jacket over the couch. "I already ate," he muttered coldly. Her voice cracked. "You used to come home to me. To us." He looked at her, eyes empty. "Maybe I just don't want this anymore, Amara. Maybe I want something different." The words cut deeper than any knife. Amara turned away, holding back tears. Something different? Or someone different? Silence. His silence told her everything. That night, she couldn't sleep. She opened Ethan's phone while he showered, and there it was. Messages from a woman named Vanessa. Pictures. "I can't wait until she's out of the way," Vanessa wrote. "Then we'll finally be free." Free? Amara's heart shattered into pieces she couldn't count. The man she had sacrificed for, prayed for, and built a life with, was planning to walk away from her like she was disposable. She didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She simply packed her dignity, tucked her pain behind a calm smile, and whispered to herself, "God doesn't sleep. One day they'll see what they've done." Part 2. The divorce day. Weeks turned into months. Amara stopped begging. She stopped trying. Instead, she focused on her work, her health, and her peace. She started volunteering at the local community center, helping single mothers who'd lost everything. Meanwhile, Ethan and Vanessa flaunted their affair like a trophy. They went to restaurants Amara used to love, posted pictures online, even showed up at events together. The humiliation spread through town like wildfire. Finally, the day of the divorce arrived. The courthouse was packed. Ethan walked in wearing a crisp blue suit, holding Vanessa's hand. She was dressed in a tight red dress, smirking like she'd already won. Amara entered quietly, dressed in an elegant cream outfit. No jewelry, no makeup, just quiet strength. Her best friend whispered, "You sure you're ready for this?" She nodded. "I'm not here to fight. I'm here to end it with grace." But the judge, Judge Hamilton, had seen enough divorces to know when something wasn't right. As the case began, Ethan's lawyer spoke first, painting Amara as a distant wife who had neglected her husband's emotional needs. Vanessa sat beside Ethan, holding his arm, pretending to comfort him. Amara just sat still, eyes fixed on the judge, not her betrayer. When it was her turn to speak, she stood, voice steady. "Your Honor," she said softly, "I loved Ethan with everything I had. But love doesn't mean you let someone destroy your soul. I'm not asking for revenge. I'm asking for fairness." The courtroom fell silent. Even Vanessa's smirk faded for a moment. Judge Hamilton leaned forward. "Mrs. Daniels, do you have evidence of your husband's infidelity?" Amara handed over a folder. Texts, photos, hotel receipts. Every war. The air inside the courtroom felt heavier than ever. Ethan's arrogance had vanished. His lawyer kept flipping through papers nervously, while Vanessa sat frozen, her confidence melting away. Judge Hamilton placed the evidence folder aside and took a deep breath. "Mr. Daniels," he said sternly, "this court doesn't take kindly to dishonesty, especially when it's done with such disregard for the vows of marriage." Ethan swallowed hard. "Your Honor, I just fell out of love. People grow apart." The judge interrupted sharply. "Then why didn't you end your marriage before beginning another?" Silence. The sound of the clock ticking echoed in the courtroom. Then the judge leaned back in his chair and looked straight at Amara. "Mrs. Daniels, you've carried yourself with remarkable grace through all of this. And while I can't undo your pain, I can make sure justice is served." Ethan's eyes widened. Vanessa gripped his arm. Judge Hamilton continued, "Since the evidence clearly shows marital infidelity, and given your years of contribution to your husband's business, I am awarding you 60% of all shared assets, including the house, the vehicles, and the savings account." Gasps filled the room. Ethan jumped to his feet. "What? You can't do that. I built that business." The judge's gavel struck hard. "Sit down, Mr. Daniels. You built that business with a woman who supported you, encouraged you, and sacrificed her dreams so you could chase yours. She stood by you when you had nothing. And now, she deserves her share of everything." Vanessa turned toward Ethan, whispering furiously, "You told me this would be quick. You said she'd take the small settlement." Ethan whispered back, "I didn't think she had proof." Amara remained silent, her calm demeanor like a mirror reflecting their chaos. The judge wasn't done yet. "Furthermore," he said, "this court sees fit to award alimony to Mrs. Daniels for the next 5 years, given the emotional and financial." Months passed. Amara moved into a beautiful townhouse near the ocean. She started her own interior design business, one she had once given up to help Ethan build his company. Now, her designs were featured in magazines. Her face glowed with peace, the kind that only comes when you finally let go. Meanwhile, Ethan's life began to unravel. Vanessa, who once promised him forever, grew distant. She didn't want to share bills or help rebuild what was lost. One evening, she packed her bags and left without a word. Soon after, Ethan's business hit trouble. Contracts fell through. Investors pulled out. Word had spread, not about his company's numbers, but about his character. "Never trust a man who disrespects his wife," one client had said. And just like that, his empire began to crumble. One rainy afternoon, almost a year after the divorce, Ethan walked into a cafe for a cup of coffee. And there, at a corner table, he saw her, Amara. She was laughing with 2 friends, her smile radiant, her spirit untouched. She looked happy, truly happy. He froze. For a moment, he thought about going up to her, apologizing, begging for forgiveness. But when their eyes met, she didn't look at him with anger or pain. She simply gave him a polite nod and turned back to her conversation. That moment hit him harder than any judge's words. Because true regret isn't when you lose what you had. It's when you realize you'll never again deserve what you destroyed. Moral of the story: never betray the heart that stood by you when no one else did. Love isn't something to play with, because karma always keeps its receipts. And when a good woman finally walks away, that's when you'll understand what real loss feels like.